What's going on, folks? Little update on what's going on in the world of Dan. So I did my 34 last y'all heard, and from there I shot about 70 miles down the road to Gaylord, Minnesota. Picked up a load of groceries and hauled ass to Texas. So I'm back in Texas right now. So my first delivery was a two-part load. First delivery was Temple, Texas, 30 miles from the house. I got there around noon the day before it was due to deliver. Called the wife up, said, "Hey, come get me." So I got to spend about a half a day at the house. Got to sleep in my own bed. Next morning, got up, delivered my first load, 06. That took about 2 hours, and I had an appointment for 10 down in San Antonio. I knew this wasn't going to work. My original appointment was at 8, and they moved it to 10, and I still knew it wasn't going to work. I'm like, how you expect me to deliver to two locations, 2 hours apart, that are 2.5 hours of drive time? But it is what it is. They're like, all right, well, you're just going to be late. Your appointment's at 10. Okay. So I got unloaded and on the road again by 8. I had a fuel stop in between, but I still made it to Selma, Texas by 10:30. Got unloaded, got in the door. They took 3 hours to unload me. Finally, they come and give me the thumbs up saying, all right, you're good to go. You can leave, and get my ship paperwork. And it says that they rejected 13 cases of liquid egg whites. So now I got to sit and wait on disposition. I did not get disposition until 9 o'clock this morning. And finally, when it finally came, they're like, oh yeah, just give them away or keep them or throw them in the dumpster. Well, I got a small fridge, and my wife hooked me up with a bunch of pre-made meals, so I don't have any room for any liquid egg whites in my freezer. So I get on the phone. I start calling homeless shelters. Finally, after about 5 or 6 phone calls in an hour and a half, somebody actually gave me a number. I called them up, New Braunfels Food Bank. Shoot out there, get these guys some eggs, get a little donation receipt. And now I'm sitting at a pilot in New Braunfels, waiting on a load. So that's kind of update of what's going on here. But on one of my other videos, my first video about troops to transportation, somebody asked a question, so I figured I would address some of these things, because my aim with this channel is to help fellow service members who are getting out and planning on going into this field. So he asked me, how realistic is it to make decent money by the time you get out, or when you get out? And there's some variables in this. So I asked him, okay, what's his MOS? Because that's a variable. Believe it or not, your MOS is a variable. How much terminal leave you have, that's a variable. And where you plan on staying, that's also a variable. So we'll start with we'll start with the easy one. Where you plan on living. Why is this a variable? Well, different companies have different hiring areas. I stayed in Central Texas, and I am just outside of the hiring area of even the company I work for. But because I'm military, or because I was military, because I'm a veteran, and because I went to troops transportation, they made an exception to me, and I actually live 30 miles outside of their hiring area, and they still hired me. So think about where you plan on living and how that's going to affect working for different companies, or what company you can work for. All right, second one. Your MOS, how is that a variable? Well, plain and simple. If you're a 11 Bravo or a 19 Delta or a 19 Kilo or some random combat arms, or even, you're a signal guy, that military experience does not equate to that field. But me as a mechanic, and an 88 Mike, a truck driver. I don't know what the MOSs are for the Air Force, Marine Corps, I'm sorry. But if you've got one of those fields, you can get a waiver, or a military service waiver, at least in the state of Texas, to where you can get your CDL prior to, or it's called a military skills waiver, you can get your CDL prior to actually finishing school. And a lot of these companies will take what you did in the military as not so much over-the-road experience, but I know how to handle a vehicle this big experience. So that's, once again, the company I went to work for. It's not a first-year company. It's not a mega carrier. It's not a we pay for your truck driver school carrier. It's a carrier that guys go to after they've spent their time with those carriers. So MOS is a key factor. If you just have a regular MOS, then you're probably looking at a mega carrier or a carrier that will hire brand new drivers. So take that into account. Now, the biggest variable is how much time do you have for terminal leave. Because most of these companies, they have training time. So if you're still in and you're considering this as a career path, what I would say to you is do what I did. Stack up your leave. I took 90 days of PCS leave plus 20 days permissive TDY because I was retiring for a total of 110 days of leave. So technically, I'm still in the Army. I'm still Sergeant First Class. I'm still getting paid active duty pay, but I'm also driving a truck. So I'm double stacking those paychecks for at least 90 days till my retirement pay starts. The reason why you want to do this is because a lot of these companies, like I said, they have training pay. They have training requirements. So you might get stuck with one of these brand new companies with a mega carrier. You might get stuck 3 weeks in somebody else's truck running as a trainee. Well, trainee pay isn't the same as driver pay. Trainee pay, you might get $500 a week. So that's $2,000 a month. Okay, if you're an E4 getting out, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good transition. You go from being in the Army making $2,000 a month to being a truck driver making $2,000 a month. I retired as an E7. So I needed to make sure that I made as much money as possible while I was still on terminal leave. So one, I could eliminate some debt, and two, I learned this job and I am running the most efficient way I can by the time I need this paycheck just to pay my bills. So take that into consideration. Stack your leave up and double dip for a bit. One, it'll help eliminate debt. Two, it provides a buffer to learn this industry before you have to rely on this industry to pay your bills. Prime example, last week I ended up pulling a 34 because I didn't manage my clock correctly. Right now, I've been stuck. I was in detention for 19 hours, and now since I've cleared detention, I've been sitting for another 4 hours just waiting on a load. So if your wheels aren't moving, you ain't making money. Stuff like this, where you want to make sure that you learn this industry and learn how to manage all those aspects before you have to rely on this paycheck. So like I said, make sure you stack them leave days up. Make sure you take your MOS and your where you want to live into account. Especially if you decide to go the troops to transportation route. Right, y'all? I'm going to go watch some Netflix. Y'all have a great day. And I should be posting another vehicle. Shit, I can't even talk. I should be posting another video later this week or sometime next week. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you have any specific questions about troops transportation or just what it's like getting out of the military and coming into this industry, hit me up. I'll answer all your questions. All right, y'all have a good day.